The rain came without warning. 1 minute, the sky was a dull gray. The next, thunder cracked so loud it shook the wooden cabin windows. Lightning split the sky in crooked lines, flashing over the thick pine trees that bordered the sleepy mountain town. Inside a small cabin just outside that forest, a man sat silently. His name was Daniel, a retired Army Ranger. Broad-shouldered, worn down by years of war, and carrying invisible wounds no medicine could heal. He was used to silence, used to being alone. That's how he liked it now. No noise, no flashbacks, just trees, wind, and the occasional howl of coyotes at night. But something felt different tonight. A loud snort broke through the sound of rain. Daniel stood slowly, approached the window, and froze. There, not 10 feet from his porch, stood a wild Mustang. Its dark mane whipped in the wind, eyes locked straight onto Daniel. The horse didn't move, didn't flinch. It just stood there, in the middle of a storm, like it had a reason to be there. Daniel's heart skipped. He had seen that face before. Not this exact horse, but one just like it, on a battlefield half a world away. And just like that, something inside him stirred. Something he hadn't felt in a long, long time. He didn't sleep that night. Not really. He sat near the window, watching the trees. The storm faded, but the Mustang never left. It stood there, still as a statue, watching his cabin. By morning, Daniel's curiosity had turned into a quiet obsession. The next morning, the rain was gone. The forest smelled fresh, like pine needles and wet earth. Daniel stepped outside with a hot mug of black coffee in his hands. He didn't expect to see the horse again. But there it was, standing at the edge of the trees, watching, waiting. Daniel walked slowly toward it. The Mustang didn't back away. It turned and walked into the forest. Daniel hesitated, then followed. He had no clue why. It was like being pulled by a string. Deep in his gut, he just knew. He had to see where this horse was going. The deeper they went, the quieter the forest became. No birdsong, no breeze, just the steady crunch of boots and hooves on wet leaves. Daniel's mind wandered. As the trees grew thicker, he remembered a time long ago. A mission in Afghanistan. A convoy ambushed in a valley. The sounds of shouting, bullets, smoke. And through it all, a wild horse running through the chaos, just like this one. He had thought it was a hallucination. Or maybe a dream. But now, here it was. Real. Alive. Hours passed. They crossed creeks and climbed small ridges. Daniel's legs began to ache. He wasn't 25 anymore. Still, the Mustang pressed on. And Daniel followed. The sun was low in the sky when Daniel first saw it. A cabin. Not like his. This one was older. Much older. Hidden deep in the forest, wrapped in thick ivy and moss. Its windows were dusty. The wood weathered. The roof half covered in leaves and pine needles. The Mustang stopped. It looked back at Daniel, then toward the door. Daniel approached slowly. His boots sank into the soft, damp ground. The front door creaked open with a push. Dust floated in the sunlight as it poured through the cracks in the wooden walls. It looked abandoned, but lived in. Recently, there was a cot with a blanket, a small stove, a table, a photo nailed to the wall. Daniel stepped closer. It was a photo of a man in uniform. And Daniel knew that face. Peterson, he whispered. Sergeant Peterson. His old squad mate. Reported missing 10 years ago. The Mustang whinnied softly behind him. Daniel turned in disbelief. Could this cabin be where Peterson had vanished to? Why hadn't they ever found it? Suddenly, the forest didn't feel so empty. Daniel didn't move for a long time. He stared at the photo like it might speak to him. It was Peterson, no doubt. Younger, smiling, arm around someone Daniel didn't recognize. He ran his fingers over the wood frame. Beneath it, tacked to the wall with a rusted nail, was a weathered map. Hand-drawn lines. Red ink circling a stretch of forest nearby. Cryptic notes scribbled in small, sharp handwriting. Watch the ridge. Tracks every third day. Echoes at dusk, follow the call. Daniel's military instincts kicked in. These weren't just notes, they were observations. Patterns. A man keeping record. Surviving. He searched the cabin. Carefully. Like clearing a room overseas. In the stove was fresh ash. Not more than a few days old. Under the cot, a pair of boots, worn smooth. Beside them, a knife in a sheath made from paracord. In the corner, a journal. Pages yellowed, the leather cracked from use. Daniel opened it. The entries were brief, sometimes only a line or two. Saw them again. Watching. Mustang returned. Same one. Daniel alive? If so, forgive me. His name. Daniel's hands trembled. Peterson was alive. Or had been. Not just missing. Hiding. Maybe running from something worse than the war. The Mustang let out a low breath behind him. Daniel looked up, and for the first time, he felt it. This wasn't just a random discovery. This was a message. Night fell quickly in the forest. Daniel sat by a small fire just outside the cabin, the journal open on his lap, its brittle pages fluttering in the cold breeze. He had gone through every word, every scrawl. It painted a picture more unsettling than he'd expected. Peterson hadn't just been surviving, he'd been watching something. Avoiding something. Tracking something. The Mustang lay nearby, resting but alert. Its ears twitched at every snap of a twig, every whisper of the wind. Like it knew danger wasn't far. Daniel turned the page again, rereading a passage written in trembling ink. 3 figures. Not animals. Not men either. Watching from the ridge. Only move at night. Stay near the old mine. A chill ran through Daniel's spine. He looked out toward the woods. The ridge Peterson had circled on the map wasn't far. Maybe a mile, 2 at most. He packed the journal, the map, and the knife into his old canvas rucksack. The soldier in him had reawakened, instincts flooding back like a tide. He doused the fire, slung the pack over his shoulder, and nodded once toward the Mustang. Let's go. They moved through the dark without a flashlight. Moonlight filtered through the trees in silver beams. The forest was alive with nighttime whispers, owls, crickets, rustling branches, but beneath it all was something else. An absence. No birds. No frogs. Just silence. As they reached the base of the ridge, Daniel paused. The Mustang stopped beside him, staring upward. Then Daniel saw them. 3 shapes at the top of the ridge. Not moving. Not blinking. Watching. They weren't just shadows. They had form, tall, lanky outlines. But wrong somehow. Off. Like they didn't belong to this world. The journal's words echoed in Daniel's mind. Not animals. Not men either. He crouched low, breathing steady. Suddenly, one of the figures moved, just a fraction. A twitch. Then another stepped forward, impossibly smooth. The third raised an arm. And pointed directly at Daniel. That's when the Mustang screamed, a piercing, otherworldly cry that shattered the stillness and sent birds exploding from the trees. The figures vanished in the blink of an eye. Daniel's pulse raced, but his mind stayed clear. This wasn't hallucination. This wasn't PTSD. This was real. Something had kept Peterson here. Something he couldn't outrun. Now Daniel understood. This was never just about the Mustang. It was about what the horse had been trying to show him. Daniel didn't sleep. He waited until first light, then traced the red line on Peterson's map. It led to an abandoned mine, maybe a mile northeast. He moved quickly, gear-packed, eyes sharp. The Mustang walked beside him, its hooves silent on the mossy trail. By noon, he found it. An old mining tunnel carved into the rock, half-collapsed and swallowed by forest. Rusted tools lay scattered, overtaken by vines. A wooden sign, barely legible, Red Vein Mine. Closed 1974. Daniel stepped inside. It was cold. Damp. The air tasted like stone and secrets. Further in, the light dimmed. He lit a flare. Scrawled along the walls were markings. Symbols. Some looked like maps. Others like warnings. Do not go beyond. Then, a whisper. Not imagined. Real. Daniel. He froze. The voice was familiar. He moved deeper, heart hammering. Around a bend, he found a chamber. Someone had lived here. Recently. A lantern. Blankets. A carved stick with hash marks, like someone counting days. And a figure in the corner. Alive. Thin, bearded, pale. Peterson. The man opened his eyes. You shouldn't have come, he rasped. Daniel rushed to him, tears welling. I thought you were dead. I was, almost. They don't let you leave. Who? Peterson turned toward the tunnel entrance. The Watchers. Behind them, the Mustang stood guard.